Hi again everybody. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about removal. So the nails I did yesterday, I'm going to show you how to take them off. It's a bit of a shame because they're still gorgeous, but it's important to show the right techniques for removal. I usually use a little glass bowl like this one. I put enough acetone in just to cover your fingertips. I use this one's a Sally's acetone. But you can buy it from places like the pound shop, and as long as it says that it's 100%, it'll do the same job. So I'll just fill it up enough to cover all of my fingers, and I just always ask my clients just to pop their hand straight in and just get comfortable, and I let it soak for a couple of minutes before I start the removal process. I should say at this point that the reason I don't use foil wraps or the little removal cotton pads is because I've found over the years that the longer your nail sits in acetone, the weaker it is at the end of the process. So I like to keep it in as little as possible, just to take off each layer at a time. So I'll probably speed up the video at this point after my nails have been soaking for a few minutes. When I'm with my client, obviously they'll have their hands in both at the same time, so you can do one at a time while the other one's still soaking. But just for the purposes of today, I'll speed this a little bit up so my nails have a little bit longer to soak. Okay, so once they've been in the acetone for a couple of minutes, I use my cuticle knife just to gently scrape the top layer of the gel away. Be really careful that you don't go through too many layers of the gel initially. You don't want to touch any of the natural nail at any point. This is just to scrape off each layer at a time. You'll sometimes find that it doesn't come off as easy as you expect. Maybe just pop it into the acetone just for a little bit longer. But as long as you get this shiny layer off, it'll make the removal process a lot easier. You'll see my nail there which has had the foil on. It's much easier to take off because there's that barrier between each layer of the gel, so that'll come off pretty easily. And then once I've scraped as much gel off as I'm comfortable with, I grab one of my files. I usually use a 180-240 if I'm using it on a natural nail. And I'll use the slightly rougher side initially just to buff over the top. Now you have to have a really light hand for this because we don't want the nail to get warm and make it uncomfortable for your client at any point. It'll be a good idea to say that if it feels like it's warm or it's uncomfortable at any point, just to let you know, and you can stop and soak them again. It should just be a really light buffing motion, just to take off all of the shiny layer of gel. Make sure you get around the sides as well. I don't want to be using my nail file on any part of the natural nail bed. I'll use a buffer and an even softer file for that. So at this point, you're just making sure that you're actually touching the gel and not the nail. Oh, it's sad to see these go. Once you've buffed all of that layer off, we're going to pop it back into the acetone for another couple of minutes. And as I say, when you're doing your client's removal, you could be working on the other nail while this hand is soaking. So I'm just going to pop my hand back into the acetone and I'll speed this bit up. Okay, my nails have been in for around 3 minutes. Now we're going to repeat the process with the next layer of the gel. So just with your cuticle knife, being very careful not to scrape the natural nail at any point. We can just carry on taking off the gel. Now mine might take a little bit longer than usual because I only applied these gels yesterday. So the longer your client has your nails on, the easier it'll be to remove. There might be some lifting, a little bit of chipping. And also it'll have like a free edge down next to the cuticle, so that always makes it easier. So just carry on scraping until you feel like as much of the gel is going to come off with your knife. And then with a very soft file again, we can just carry on buffing, and you'll see that the natural nail starts coming through. You have got a little bit of leeway because there's a base colour as well, which obviously you won't be able to see. So just use your common sense and a very, very light touch, and as soon as you start seeing the natural nail coming through, then we'll know to go to a softer file. Some of the polishes come off easier than others. This cream is taking a little bit longer, but you just have to pay attention to each nail and making sure that you're not at any point hurting or making your client uncomfortable. So that's the second time I've had them in the bowl. Now I'm going to pop them in for a third time, and hopefully that'll just bring up the rest of the gel that's there, and we'll be able to switch over to our buffer. So in we go for another 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, so my nails have been in for another few minutes. We can see there's a few little remnants of gel left, so we can just carry on scraping those away with the knife. Be as gentle as possible. At this point the gel should come away pretty easily. And there's a nice pointy end on these cuticle tools that you can get into the corners with. When I'm doing pedicures I tend to use this same method with scraping the gel away. You can be a little bit more forceful with toe gel than you can with finger gel. And I tend to file the gel pedi off more than soak it, but just whatever your client's comfortable with. So you see the gel starting to come away pretty easily now. Now you could soak these nails for longer. So obviously the longer you have it in the acetone, the easier it comes away. But like I touched on at the beginning, in my experience, the longer you have your nails soaking acetone, the weaker they are at the end, and you want them to still feel really strong and healthy at the end of the removal process. So we'll go back in with our soft file and just get the last of this off. This is really important as well if your client wants to keep the length of her nails and if she's trying to grow them, that you're really gentle, because you don't want to make the free edge weak in any way. So get right into those corners. If you feel like the gel's being stubborn, you can pop them into the acetone as many times as you need to. Don't overfile at this point. Nearly there with these ones. Might just pop this in one more time just to make sure I have all of the base coat taken off, and just for that little bit of black, because I don't want to overfile my nails. At no point did that feel warm or uncomfortable on my nails, so just be careful. We don't want any hot spots or to leave them feel like they've had any sort of electric drill. I should say at this point that I never use electric files, not even on acrylics. I just feel like the touch of your hand is much better than having electric file, because you can tell when it gets too close to the nail bed, and we just want to be as gentle as possible. You want your client's nails to be healthier after the process than they were before, not in worse condition. So that's just been in for about a minute. We'll just take the last of this little black polish off. There we are, that's the last bit. And you can just check over the nails and make sure there's nothing left in the corners, because we want a totally clean nail bed, so the next set of gels has a clean prepared surface to stick to. They look pretty good to me. So I'll just file that last little bit of black off. A little bit of base coat next to my cuticle. And then we can go in with our cuticle pusher and just start pushing the cuticle back, and that'll take off any excess gel which is left on the nail bed. Repeat that process over all 10 of your clients' nails, and this will help prepare the cuticle for the next stage of application as well, so it's killing two birds with one stone. Okay, when you're happy with that, we'll just grab our white block and we'll just brush off the rest. This is the softest file you'll be able to get, so it will remove just the remnants of the gel if there is any. And if there's any raggedy cuticles, it'll sort that out as well. You'll see there's a little bit just there, a little bit of base coat. Yeah. And there we are. I'll just get rid of this dust from the towel so you can see. And that's my clean nails, no damage, no hot spots, and they're all prepared for the next lot of gel application. You might want to tidy the nails and ask your clients at this point if they would like to change the shape or take any of the length off, but because mine are short, haven't grown much since yesterday, I'm just going to leave the length that it is, and then I'm going to use this hand to show you some more advanced techniques in the next video. Hope that was helpful. Thanks guys.